So today we are talking Squealers, and I'm delighted to be joined by the director, Abel Ferry. Hi, Abel. How are you?
Hi, hello. Nice to meet you. I'm fine.
Um, good, good. Thank you for your time today. Congratulations on Squealers. Um, so for those that don't know, tell us about Squealers. What is it about?
Um, it's about very young people who wants to fight against violence against animals. So they want to go inside a slaughterhouse during the night to pick up cameras because they brought inside they put inside cameras and they want to pick them up to bring them back. But of course, it's not like they want. After this, people trap them, and it will be a very a kind of nightmare. You
Mm, yeah. Um, and how did you come to the story of Squealers? What was your first interaction with it? How did you come across the movie and
Ah,
get started on it?
it was 4 years ago. The producer, it's someone I know I met 15 years ago. Sent me
Mm,
the first draft of the script, and
mm,
it was I remember very correctly because it was just before the shooting of a movie for television, and
mm,
during the preparation, I prepared the movie for television, and I received the first draft of the script for a feature film, and it was for me very exciting to go back to
mm,
uh, to the big screen because my first feature film was High Lane, Vertige in France. It was a
mhm,
climbing movie with a lot of sequence in the forest, kind of horror movie, and it was for me Squealers was the opportunity to go back. But
mm,
I was very happy. But in the first draft, was been written by Guillaume Chevalier. It was his first draft. It was very well written, but there's
mm,
not a lot of theme in the first draft. You know, for me, this movie we can talk about violence, about
mm,
why we use violence, and for what for me this movie is against the violence, whatever the cause, and
mhm,
we try to develop a lot of things with this. For example, the first draft, there's a slaughterhouse only in the beginning, and
mm,
but now we use the slaughterhouse at the end also, and
mhm,
the story. The movie, sorry, begins with a little pig, and in the
mm,
first draft we don't see this. I would like to see that this movie was seen through the eyes of an animal. Because
mm,
the animals are the very passive witness of the humanity, of the madness of human people.
yeah.
If
Yeah,
sometimes,
the
sorry for my
yeah.
English, sometimes you don't understand very well, please tell me to repeat.
No, no, all good so far. So yeah, I found that very interesting. You took the view of the sort of piglet looking up, seeing what's going on, as you said, passive to the humans, and it's a very horrific opening in that, and it's kind of the slaughter
Yeah.
the slaughter of pigs is a sort of normalcy, I
Mhm.
think, for people. And the way that you film that and the way that that opens the movie, it does come across as extremely horrific, and very violent and gory. And personally, I am a meat eater, but it never doesn't come into my head,
Yes,
that
it was
I
real.
never really think about it.
That's because it was real.
Mm. That
We
so that was all from the.
we shot in a real slaughterhouse
Mm,
for the beginning,
that's-
and
yeah.
that for me that because what was very difficult for me because I love animals. Here I
Mm,
have a cat and
yeah.
two dogs, so I don't want to. I didn't want to be responsible for the death of any animals during this movie.
Mm,
So it
yeah.
was very complex because I have to shoot the death of animals.
Mm. Yeah, quite a
It was a very huge problem for me. So
yeah.
what I did that with the DOP, we shot in a real slaughterhouse like a documentary.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I don't want to. I never talked to the people. I was there
Mhm.
just to see how it works.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, just
that's why in the beginning I was there was very hard because it was the reality. But
mm,
for the little pig, we found a slaughterhouse who has been linked to a farm, to a pig farm,
okay.
a very
Yeah.
huge pig farm, more than 10,000 10,000 pigs inside the farm.
Oh,
100 was born every day, and 100 has been killed every day also.
okay. So
So
it's
it was huge, but I don't want. But if you take a pig from this farm, we have to kill it because we can't go back because after it's a
mm,
very it's a farm with European norms, and so it was very complex. So you have to find family for this little pig before
mm,
the shooting.
okay.
It was very complex because the
Yeah.
producer, the executive producer, don't like especially pigs or things like this. They don't care about.
Mm,
But then you have to find. It was someone from the crew because we shoot
okay.
in foreign. We don't shoot this movie in France, and
Mm,
we find someone in the department, in the wardrobe department, who have a big farm. So so we give them the little pig that I choose for the shooting.
okay. So did they keep the pig after as well?
Yes, yeah, yes. He was
Yeah.
lived. He lived in this family. That's why he was. I use the Fabrice, the name of the pigs.
Right.
We use it at the end. There's a lot of pictures of every people who play in the movie, every actress and actors, and also there was
Ah,
this little pig.
nice.
So I
Cool.
want to humanize
Um,
it as most as I can, as I
yeah.
can. Sorry.
Yeah. That
It's
works
there.
really well. You know,
Okay.
it's the site the kind of the bookmark or the bookend of the movies as well, isn't it? You know, it's there at the start, it's there at the end, and it's really affecting. You said that the movie wasn't shot in France. Did you say that there?
Yes, shot in Bulgaria
Ah, okay,
in
nice. It was
24
some of
days.
the shots you get.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the main producer, it's a slow budget, like a lot of horror movie, and
Mm,
we don't have the budget to shoot in France, so you have to
okay.
shoot in the foreign countries, and that's why we shoot there. The producer know some executive producer in Bulgaria, so we shoot in Sofia.
Mm. No, nice, nice. And
In,
you get some great shots from it. Yeah, you know the cinematography, the landscapes and the forestry. It's very beautifully shot.
But I like nature. I was born in the nature. I
Mm,
shoot a lot of my first movie was in the mountain, and after I shoot movie for television also in the mountain. So I love this. I love nature. When you don't have a lot of budget, if you shoot nature, it doesn't cost a lot. So
yeah.
we have to find the very good location, not so far. It's very complex in your mind because you have to shoot location not so far from each other because the main
Mm,
problem in nature it's to travel from your hotel to the set. So you have to
mm,
minimize the transport and to be very
yeah.
smart to for the shooting. But if you try to if you have the great location for this, you
Mm,
win a lot of time because we have only 24 hours, but 24 days of shooting. But
okay.
in that case, I love movies like Predator, the John McTiernan movie, and for me,
Yeah.
he shoots the nature as the main character. So I try to do the same thing. That's
Nice.
why
Yeah.
we sometimes we have a lot of time lapse or things. I put my camera myself inside to have a lot of extra shots, and with this I have a kind of like a library of different shots, and
Mm,
I can use it to use them when I want. But it was a very strong goal to use the nature as a main character.
mhm. And it's, we have the 2 groups. You have the activists,
Mhm.
and then you kind of have the political side and the antagonists. You they both have their reasons for what they're doing. The politician is desperate to hold on to power. There's an election coming up. Was it important to you, the way, personally anyway, the way the political landscape is just now? It
Mhm.
feels like politicians do what they must to keep what they have or increase what they have. And it was this character of yours also has that aim. Was that something that was you were very conscious of while filming?
Yes, of course. I try I try to be not black or white. I try
Mm,
to for me my goal is to it's very easy. I think it's very easy to understand the activists because their goal is very
mhm,
simple. They want to change the world and
mhm,
just to shoot people who have violence against animals. Okay, but for the
mm,
other one, it was for me it was very important to understand them.
yeah,
In that case, I but they don't want to be violent. They don't want to use violence. It's very for me. It was very important since from the beginning to have this in mind. Okay, okay. Of course, they want to be to be in the city hall, to be a mayor. They have election very fast, so they want to be someone. But
mhm,
the main character. Um, he also he sincerely take care of people for me.
mm,
He take care of people who works with people who work with him inside the slaughterhouse
mhm,
because he strongly know that if he don't win the election, maybe the slaughterhouse will be collapse or because it's not he do what he do his best, but it's not he's not very it's not a very I don't think they win a lot of money for this. They try to
mm,
I don't understand I don't know the real English term, but um, inside they very take care of people and they, they want to keep their they want them to keep their job. He's very
mhm,
deeply convinced of this. He don't more for he does is the main character, the main antagonist doing this mainly
mhm.
for the others than for himself. I don't understand. I don't
Yeah.
know if you understand me clearly.
So yeah, so like,
Completely
there's
selfish.
empathy, yeah, there's that kind of empathy for
Yes,
other people.
yes.
Yeah,
For me,
and
it was
his
very important to have empathy with them because it. I think that the audience, for sure, they will have empathy for the young people, of course, and especially
mm,
with Emma because we see all we discover all things through her eyes, with his brother,
mm,
all of this, but
yeah,
it's very important to have empathy with the bad guys. That
yeah,
for me, it was very important, especially in the second part of the movie, because we
mm,
see them doing things with not very good, and we have to understand clearly why they are doing this. And
yeah,
clearly, sometimes for me, it was very difficult to for the editing to because sometimes we have in the side of the activists, and sometimes we
mhm,
are in the side of the hunters. But
yeah,
we in the side of the hunters. I would like to create a kind of empathy with them. At
yes,
the end of the movie, we are most of the time in the side,
mhm,
close to them. So and it's very important to understand them at this moment.
yes, yeah, and it works very well. Is it Olivier Gourmet
Yes.
who
Mm.
plays the politician, and he's fantastic. The whole cast are fantastic. I just think his performance really just kind of solidifies it, and he sells as you say, he sells the kind of empathy very well.
Mhm.
Excuse me, sorry. And he goes to great lengths to save the jobs as he's looking. That's how, from his perspective,
Mhm.
he wants to keep the slaughterhouse open. He's trying to save jobs, to feed families, to feed local families, and keep them, happy and healthy. But he goes to some, dark places to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, the so when kind of looking at it from that angle, you've got the both, and you've also in your antagonists and your hunters,
Mhm.
they have history with each other. They've served together, a few of them,
Mhm.
and you show like a that um the word brotherhood maybe between them,
What?
in terms of have like a brotherhood, like
Yes.
they've
Yes.
been,
Yes. Yes.
in combat together.
Yes, of course. Yes, with Olivier Gourmet and Bruno Lochet, the other guys,
Mm,
Philippe and
yeah.
Bertrand in the movie. Uh,
Hmm.
they have all the people who work in the army in the life before. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
close link together. They are
Yeah.
very old
Yeah.
friends,
Hmm.
army friends.
And that, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that adds that extra layer again, using the word empathy. You feel for, you know, they've had clearly traumatic experiences before. They've they've suffered together, and I think that adds to the kind of the third act,
Yes,
when you're seeing that their breakdown in relationship. It's very affecting for them. It still it still hurts, despite them maybe having disagreements.
yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have a question? So, why there this
Sorry.
disagreement? That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for yourself being able to develop the three who have been in the army, develop their relationship where they have the love and the respect, but the breakdown in their relationship as things kind of escalate, as they're getting worse for themselves. How was that
Okay.
for you developing that?
It's what begin in the relationship. You mean you want to me to develop what their relationship between together? The two guys.
Yeah.
It's the
Yes.
because it's clear that at one moment in the movie they have to use guns. Okay,
Mm,
so from
yeah.
that moment, Olivier Gourmet, enfin Bertrand, ask Philippe asked to Bertrand to find a guy to help him find a guy to for clean this mess. So
Mm,
at this moment, the guy they found is not so clean and use guns. And from this
yeah.
moment, Olivier Gourmet, enfin Philippe, has to face the reality. Now he has to use violence, or he will lose maybe he will lose his slaughterhouse. So
Mm,
Bertrand, the other guy, his friend,
mhm,
show him that he's doing what can how could I say it? He's going too far now. Now he's too far.
mm,
It's too late for him. So that's why there's a link, and there's a link together, and the link will be destroyed when Bertrand when asked to understand that his old friend will ask him something we not agree to. I don't want
mhm.
to spoil everything, but at
Yeah,
the end, yes, there's a close link together, but one of them is not betrayed people. So
mhm, yeah,
when Philippe would like to betray people, he close a path, he close a link that and for them their friendship will be very affected by this. It's very
yeah,
difficult to not spoil everything, but I think you understand
yeah.
what I mean.
Y Yes, of course, yeah. Um, and you mentioned how the movie is kinda that it's anti-violence, it's against violence, and
Hmm?
the hunters at the start are very against using, so they use the rubber bullets, so non-lethal kind of
Yes.
force as they're hunting. How for you then, because there is a moment in the movie where the violence escalates, there's the blood, there's
Yes,
there's
at
lots,
the midpoint, of course, the violence will be too. They will go too far. Yes,
yeah,
and
uh,
what? Why this? Because I want to. It for me, it was very difficult to use violence,
mm,
but not to be. How could I say it? Complacent with the violence.
mhm, yeah,
So for this, I want in a thematic vision, in a thematic version for this for if the movie with very we can talk about the utility or not, of course, of violence. So for this
mhm,
I have to show it, but we have to
mhm,
show it in different ways. So when it's go too far or not very far, but at the end I have to, at the midpoint, I have to
mhm,
see, to show to the audience how could it be if we used violence, if we
mhm,
use too many violence. That's why I have to test this, but it's very important to not be so complacent. I have That's why I don't want to use a lot, very very you I don't want to use a lot of big close up, in you mainly in horror movies. I watch them a lot of time. You see a lot of big close up of people who have eviscerated people, or we have see the guts or a lot of blood.
yeah,
For me, it was very important to see a very, um, how could I say that, a very dry violence, something very
yeah,
sharp,
yeah,
not
yes,
more,
it's
not more. But that's why at that
yeah,
point we use this. It was very violent, very. I tried to shock a little bit, and to
mhm,
try to use. Uh, because I know that a lot of people who can see this kind of movie saw before a lot of movies with chase in the woods, with
mm,
a lot of this kind of movie we see.
yeah,
For sure you will see dozens of times. So now I have to use um, your culture of this kind of movie to
yeah,
and play with your culture to just to surprise a little bit, to surprise you. That's why the violence at the
mhm,
midpoint is a little bit strong, a little bit more violent. Before it was a little soft. We can it's more light, and after it's another movie. But I'm
yeah,
very aware of this.
yes, yes, it's not, you're not looking to glorify violence, it's not something that, as you said, horror movies like a Friday the 13th, Freddy versus Jason, something like that is
Mhm.
very slasher heavy and blood is pouring, and it's almost kind of comedic in its use, over the kind of over the top use
Yes,
of it.
yes,
But this, when the violence is used in Squealers, it's brutal and to the point and very,
yes. It's
it's hard.
like you said, very brutal,
Mm,
and realistic. Try to be as
yeah,
realistic as possible.
yeah,
Just to feel that, try to feel that the audience, that it's not see now how violence, how is the violence. To feel
yeah.
this, that it's something very awful. Of course I don't like violence. I don't think I am a violence person, but
Mhm.
I don't mind to kill people in my movie. So it's strong bias
That's
for
right.
that.
Yeah,
But
of course.
just to show it,
Um,
just to
mhm,
try to try to for me, entertainment movie is a movie of feelings. No, to have to try to make you feel as the same thing as, as a little pig in the beginning. In the
yeah,
little, you see the little pig who see his family killing by humans, as but there's human as very take as I show humans like robots. We don't in the beginning we don't see
mhm,
their face. It's something very they're doing the same gesture. it's something very very cold.
Mm.
That's why
Yeah.
it's very violent. And after I try to put the audience inside inside to inside the young people who discover
Mm.
the brutality of life with the violence. That's why it's
Yeah.
very brutal and very right to the point. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
over the top because it's too much, too many over the top. Um, People will react maybe with laughing or with something very light because now it's not close to the reality. Just because it's
Yeah.
very to the point, it's I try, to feel more. There's more empathy with people.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a try.
Yeah.
I don't know
100%.
if I succeed with
Yeah.
it, but I have this in mind.
Yes, 100% succeeded. So the use, the way that the violence is used works perfectly for the tone of the movie. Um, the reason for our conversation today is that Squealers is shown at Grimmfest
Mhm.
on Saturday, the 11th of October, 3:30. I've got down. Um, are you are you going to Grimmfest yourself?
I would like, but no, because because no one can. No, I don't have the money to go there, and not the producer,
Ah,
not the distributor want to pay me the
ah,
flying ticket for this. So
okay.
unfortunately, not.
No, but and
It's a slow budget.
as
It's a slow budget for
yeah,
everyone.
yeah, yeah. Aside from that, are you quite excited? The movie's getting seen on a big screen, which in the days of streaming can sometimes be uh, doesn't always have that. There's not always that chance, people getting to see your movie in a cinema instead of, sitting at home is still good, but people can get distracted on phones or tablets or someone at the door, and getting them to have that full on experience of Squealers.
But of course, I'm a fan of entertainment movies, horror movies, and
Mm,
for me, the experience in a cinema, in a theater, is of course is very very different from an experience when you are alone in your TV screen. Because in a theater,
mm,
you have with other people, and there's a group experience. And for
mhm,
this, the experiment with other people, the feeling is very very different because you feel the feeling of a group of many people in the theater. I
yeah,
love this feeling. I love what I love. It's being at the back of the theater and
mm,
see people
yeah,
in their chair. You are doing like this, or for me, it's a very. I made this movie for the audience, for the public, to play with
mm,
them, and I like to see how they can play with the pictures, with the story,
yeah,
to try
yeah,
to make some to make things. It was okay. This guy will die, but not. No, it's not that one. Will she succeed when when at the end when a lot of people are coming into the house, how could they live,
mm,
or will they which people will survive or not, all of this. I love play with the audience. That's why for me the
mm,
experiment in theater is very great. And what I love in what on screen the movie in foreign countries, if people react in the same at the same moment I
mhm,
than in France, for example. But it works for me. I made this movie, the entertainment movie, for everybody, and
mhm.
I like to know that's why for me I regret to not being in the Green Fest, because to know if they react in the same at the same way, or in the same moment as in French. But I suppose that they will react in the same at the same moment. I suppose, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just thank you, Abel, for your time. Congratulations on Squealers. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was. exactly. As we've discussed without too many spoilers.
It was a
So
pleasure. So another time, sorry for my so baby English. I have to improve it.
no, no, your English is much better than my French, so that's not a problem.
Okay.